Let's bring things back to this country now and to a disturbing development in Manitoba, where methamphetamines are taking a horrible toll and where the province is struggling to ease their grip.
Hi everybody, my name is Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you're finding something of value here. I truly do. Truly doodly doodly do. So I wanted to point out that this is exactly how reefer madness propaganda works. 1 week away from legalized marijuana, legalized cannabis in Canada. In 1 week, anyone over 18 can possess cannabis without being threatened by the police. And instead of acting like somehow that's this wonderful empowerment of the Canadian people, this wonderful gift of freedom being given to the Canadian people over this horrific looming police state. Well, we can't wait to get you under our fucking jack boots. Have you held down by the neck by our jack boots. And you know that's true. And it's it's seriously, it should be celebrated freedom. Canadian press should be like, yay for the Canadians, for their power. They're being empowered by this instead of being like they have to be babysat by the government. They're being told, we believe that you're adult enough to be able to handle a little bit of weed. Okay? So go out there and stay frosty and be good, and we believe in you, and yay Canada. Yay Canada. Where is that? But instead, they do this stuff, right? They could have done this meth thing months ago. They could have done it 2 years ago, easily. But instead, they wait until a week before cannabis is legal in Canada. It's legal on October 17th, in case any of you might not know. They wait until a week before it's legal, and then they go, oh, and then there's this other drug that's going to be legal next week. We just told you about how horrific this drug is and how it's like butchering communities across Canada. And it's on the rise. It's just taking people over, making them violent, out of control. And then there's this other drug that's going to be legal next week in your neighborhood. This is exactly how reefer madness propaganda works, okay? And this is a big part of why the people don't trust the mainstream media, why the people who have been empowered by the freedom sharing of knowledge, like what Mox News does. You know, I've been posting reefer madness videos on YouTube for more than 14 years. And you know it's a big part of my content. Not like 20% or whatever, but it's there regularly. Probably more so than pretty much any other news, any other actual news that doesn't focus on cannabis. Just saying. But this reefer madness stuff is I lost my train of thought there, bragging about how great I am. This reefer madness stuff, it makes this is why the people don't trust the mainstream media. That's what I was saying. Because instead of actually informing the people, instead of saying you're being given this freedom because we believe you're adults, that you don't have to be babysat, and that you can decide for yourself if you'd like to enjoy a little cannabis. Because that's the way it should be in a free society, where the adults are not criminalized, see, they've criminalized so many people with this marijuana is illegal and the rest of the drug war. It's just about criminalizing. That's Nixon's whole thing, was criminalizing hippies and black people and Hispanics. That's what the whole reefer madness thing has been about the whole time. And instead of coming into the 21st century, where we all have this free exchange of knowledge and we understand that the cannabis is is less dangerous than aspirin. and you guys try and compare it to meth and heroin and fentanyl over and over again, putting these stories back to back, knowing that for some people the lines are going to blur and they're going to equate meth with cannabis with meth, because this is what you're trying to do and you know that you will achieve it in a certain percentage of people. This is why the people don't trust you. You look at us and you say, marijuana has no medicinal value. For generations, it kills cancer. It helps people with dementia. Have you ever seen what marijuana does for an MS patient or someone with Parkinson's disease? It's the difference between life and death. These people, the little kids with the seizures, it's the difference between life and death. And for generations, you've been telling us that it has no medicinal qualities. Not because that's what you believe, not because you couldn't actually research it and figure out that marijuana clearly has medicinal qualities, and it has for a millennia before these horrible police state motherfuckers came along and started this damn drug war. It's always had medicinal qualities. 5,000 years ago, they could have told you it had medicinal qualities. One of the very first cultivated plants that man cultivated. And you lied to us, and you lied to us, and you lied to us like we're stupid. How heavily invested do you have to be in the prison industrial police state in order for you to sell out little kids who could have been using this as medicine for generations to stop their seizures and actually have a life? People with Parkinson's, people with MS, multiple sclerosis, people with dementia, people with Alzheimer's, so many different things. Cancer. And you acted, marijuana has no medicinal qualities for generations. And we're supposed to believe what you say. And we look at, and these people look at you and say fake news. I don't like that term because it's not fake news. This is agenda-driven propaganda. This in particular is reefer madness propaganda, prison industrial complex, big pharma, big alcohol, big tobacco, reefer madness propaganda. And if you ever want the people to ever trust you again, you need to stop saying, next week the sky is going to fall. Everywhere in your neighborhood, 50% of you are going to be within sky falling range. The people are going to go crazy. They're going to be so violent. Really? Canadian prostitute? That's the best you can come up with? So, I just want to point this out before, once again, I'm told what's wrong with me? Do I hate marijuana? Why are you posting all this reefer madness crap? Because it's important to show who the enemies are. It's not cannabis. It's these police state motherfuckers. Every one of them. Every politician and all these news people. Local news, national news, international news. They've all lied to you for generations about marijuana, about cannabis. And it's disgusting because it could have been helping people medically for generations. So I thought it was important to point that out. Thanks very much for tuning in. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. If you'd like, Mox News survives solely on donations from good people like yourself. I'm not getting any donations, so you know, I'm not, it's horrible. It's horrible to come out here and try and do this for you, and no one gives anything back. You don't know how horrible that is. It's easy to make a donation at moxnews.com, or is there a clickable link in the text body of this video. Thank you very much. Stay cool. One of these days, this drug war is going to end.
Let's bring things back to this country now and to a disturbing development in Manitoba, where methamphetamines are taking a horrible toll and where the province is struggling to ease their grip. Cheaper than opioids, meth comes with less risk of overdose, but it's causing chaos in Winnipeg emergency rooms. Meth-related visits have spiked, jumping from 15 a month 5 years ago to an average now of 207. That's almost 14 times higher. Meth can also trigger violent, erratic behavior. As Cameron McIntosh tells us, that's a real-life concern for frontline workers.
This is security video from the ER of Winnipeg's largest hospital. Watch the man with the dark hair. He's a patient. The man approaching is a nurse. In a split second, the patient attacks. Security intervenes. The nurse and 3 guards all ended up with minor injuries.
You're not allowed to talk about it.
This nurse says meth-related violence is becoming common. We've concealed their appearance and changed their voice to protect their identity.
I've been verbally abused, threatened, yeah, pretty much you name it, everything. I've been called every name in the book. I've been assaulted.
In this case, police took the man into custody and say meth was a factor. It's an extreme example, but the nurses' union says violent incidents have doubled over the last year. It's calling for tighter security, including checks for weapons.
We're putting our sanity, our well-being, our livelihood at risk coming into work.
ERs are one of the front lines in what is being called a crisis in Winnipeg.
It's starting to keep me awake at night.
Police say it's now a bigger problem than fentanyl. Meth is a cheaper, longer, and less lethal high.
It's a combination of all those that have made it really a drug of choice for the city of Winnipeg.
Main Street Project Detox.
At Winnipeg's only publicly funded detox facility, meth now accounts for more than half the cases. Staff are specially trained.
We're definitely tight and tasked. I've had to double some of my staff in some areas because of the potential for violence. We haven't seen a lot of violence.
It's the people that aren't getting help showing up in ERs, often agitated. Nurses will be getting more meth training, but some are also considering job changes.
Expecting to kind of get punched, kicked, verbally abused, whatever the case may be, I would definitely consider maybe something else.
For months now, the Manitoba government has been under increasing pressure to come up with a meth strategy. The province says it will soon be making an announcement. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Turning now to another front in Canada's drug consumption. This one, though, soon to be legal. Recreational marijuana, now just 1 week away. Some Canadians call it a progressive victory. Others think it's still a big mistake. Either way, expect some bumps along this ride. Don't forget, when legalization kicks in next Wednesday, it actually only applies to certain cannabis products, like the plants themselves, their buds and seeds. Edibles, though, are still legally offline for the next year. Not that some crafty web-based entrepreneurs seem concerned about that. Catherine Cullen has the goods on that story.
Well, it looks like I went to a candy shop because there's all these beautiful jewel colors and juicy little sort of gummy bears.
It seems like you can buy just about anything online these days, and that includes illegal pot products.
It has this allure of professionalism.
And it's efficient. It took less than 48 hours for our colleagues at Radio-Canada to get a delivery with more than $100 worth of pot products, including edibles and concentrates, which won't legally go on sale for another year. We only had to show a copy of a driver's license. More than a dozen Canadian-focused websites are selling similar products, and with legalization looming, there's potential for confusion.
This looks like it's pro. It's a beautiful packaging. It's properly sealed. Like you said, it's resealable. And so this looks like something that could have been dispensed by a pharmacy, for that matter, right? And so other than the fact that it's candy in there and has sugar. And so I could see people being confused because it looks legitimate.
The new regulation,
but the minister in charge is adamant.
It is illegal. It is clearly contrary to the existing law. And by the way, it will be against the law when the new legislation and new regulations come into effect.
Any legal pot product has to be sold by a federally licensed producer through a provincially sanctioned source. Packaging will have an official THC symbol and health warnings. And again, edibles and concentrates will still be illegal for the first year.
I would encourage you to bring that to the attention of law enforcement in the jurisdiction in which that is operating and give them an opportunity to do their job.
We did ask the RCMP what it had to say. The force says it focuses on, quote, the most significant criminal threats and risks to Canadians, suggesting that if this issue didn't meet its threshold, perhaps a local force or another enforcement agency might look into it. All of it making it not quite clear just who is keeping an eye on the internet. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
So just how easy will it be to get approved weed products next week depends on where you live. 90% of Canadians live within 10 clicks of a liquor store, but only 35% will live that close to an approved pot retailer. BC consumers have it pretty good, though. About 73% of people there will live within that sweet spot, as will 40% of Quebecers. In Atlantic Canada and the Prairies, it'll be roughly half. Ontarians won't have any outlets until at least next April. They can order it online, though, or grow their own.